Alright guys, so this is another Patreon request, and this one comes from Tom Hibbert, who asked me to do a Sailor Moon story called Sailor Moon Pink. But as always, before we get started, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, hit the third tier that will allow you access to all the videos over on Patreon, as well as allow you to send requests for videos to do here on YouTube. But other than that, hope you all enjoy this, and let's get started. So as you can see from the title, this is called Sailor Moon Pink. Basically, Tom's idea for this is that it's based off of, like, if you guys remember the Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale Marvel comics, basically what those were like stories told about the superheroes in their early life, like Spider-Man Blue, Daredevil Yellow, Hulk Gray, and Captain America White. They were just, they were really good comics, and probably the last thing Jeff Loeb did that was really good. I'm not wrong, I'm not wrong, but we'll see how this new, we'll see how this new long Halloween comic Loeb is doing for DC is gonna go. Anyway, so yeah, so it's kind of taking that idea for this story. So the story begins a couple thousand years in the future, and essentially we're in the Silver Millennium on Earth, and Queen Serenity is just kind of like thinking about the past, like her early days as Sailor Moon. So Queen Usagi is now like just kind of like, Queen Usagi's just kind of like, man, it's weird how this all went from where I am now to where we started. So basically what this is in this future timeline, she basically, it's a little altered. It's a little altered in this timeline, because in this timeline, Chibiusa can actually like grow up. Like she can actually like age, and because it, like they basically like the timeline got altered just a wee bit from Chibiusa's time travel shenanigans. And essentially what happens is that not only is she older, she actually took a husband from another planet, and they have and now Usagi has a granddaughter. And way less creepy than than having attraction to your future dad. Way less creepy. So keep in mind, Usagi still looks young, and she still looks like her same old self. She's immortal, but she now has a granddaughter, and she's just like, and she's like, Grandma, you never really talk about your days as Sailor Moon. You want I can't all the other Sailor Guardians talk about how what a great warrior you were, and how you fought off all these evils and what and all that. What were some can you tell me some stories? And Usagi just like sits in her throne and is like, I'll do you one better. She's like, I'll do you one better. I will tell you a story that I never really talked about. It's one that happened to me personally. The other Sailor Guardians don't know this story because it happened to me, and it was in my early days, the first few weeks of being Sailor Moon. And that's where the story begins, basically. So what happens is that this is set before, this is set in a time period where this is before Usagi met, it's a few weeks apart. In this story, it's a few weeks she was Sailor Moon, and then we got Sailor Mercury, the second Sailor Guardian. So this is before Ami got the power, essentially. So in this story, Usagi is still learning. She's still kind of in over her head, I'm a reincarnation of this warrior. I have all these powers, and there's a talking cat. She's basically, Luna is trying to teach Usagi to be, a sailor, the Sailor Guardian that she knows her to be, and she's trying to encourage her, but it's clear that this is still a Usagi that's inexperienced, who's still a bit of a clown. Let's be real, she's still a bit of a klutz. So it's not exactly, going her. It's not these things aren't exactly going her way. Meanwhile, Beryl who, after sending 1 or 2 monsters after Usagi, is like, okay, new plan. I'm gonna call some outside help. And basically she calls in a bounty hunter from across the stars by the name of Scorn. And Scorn is this heavily armored bounty hunter who has basically been he's one of the best. He's like the best there is at what he does. We're doing that kind of thing. And Beryl basically tells Scorn, I will pay you any amount of gold or riches or women that you want if you kill Sailor Moon. And he's like, aces. So meanwhile, back with Usagi, she's still trying to get her life together and still trying to like balance this whole like Sailor Moon superhero life with her high school life, and she can't tell anyone that she's Sailor Moon. But yeah, it's it's going about as well as you think. And also there's Mamoru, who there is a dance coming up, and she wants to ask Mamoru to and have like a wonderful dance and all that. And Luna's just kind of like in the background, like, we got a princess to find, idiot. We got a reincarnated princess to find, and you got monsters to fight. So, yeah. And also there's the matter of the Tuxedo Mask, who's kind of a jerk. But what happens is Scorn is not an idiot. He's not like your typical he's not like the other monsters, where in here, Scorn is actually like tracking the energy signature of the Sailor Guardians. And he finds Usagi and he's like, that can't be right. This idiot is connected to Sailor Moon. Maybe she's a friend. Like, he's almost in the typical comics where it's like he almost figured it out, but he's just not there. So he does attack. He does what no other monster has done. Basically, attack the school, but he basically just attacks the school and is like, "Where's Sailor? Bring me Sailor Moon." Usagi has to transform in secret and show up as Sailor Moon. She battles Scorn. And Scorn actually shows how experienced he is. He's using energy blades. He's using bombs. He's using all of that. The two are doing battle, and in the middle of it, Tuxedo Mask shows up, and Scorn is just like, he just fucking like Tuxedo Mask does his whole spiel, and then Scorn just takes out his gun and is just like, pew, and shoots the rafter out from under him. Sailor Moon has to catch him and save him. The two then are like, "Oh, thanks for your help, little lady, but I could have handled it." And she's like, "No, you fucking couldn't." So the two of them team up to fight Scorn, but they have to Tuxedo Mask basically says, "Look, we gotta move this away from everyone else. This is a dangerous situation. He's gonna kill someone." So they manage to lead Scorn away into a citywide battle until they manage to fight their way to like outside of the city. And where Usagi uses the tiara, fucking destroys Scorn, and at the end of it, she's like, thanks for the help, Tuxedo Mask. I'm still learning. Is like, that's very clear. But you did pretty good. So Tuxedo Mask leaves, and Sailor Moon is kind of like, yeah, but it's also like she has that moment of, there is no fucking way I can do this by myself. And Luna, who's been watching, is like, no, you can't. But that's not your fault. I feel like soon you'll get some backup. So by the end of it, she does ask Mamoru out, and they dance together, and it's a wonderful night, even though it's under the stars because the dance got canceled. So, but it still works out at the end. So by the end of it, Mamoru shows up and he's like, "Oh, Usagi, I see you were telling our granddaughter about one of our first adventures. Did you mention the part where you tripped multiple times during the monster fight?" And she's like, "No, I was going to leave that part out." So there you go. So anyway, there you go. That is Sailor Moon Pink. Once again, I hope you all enjoyed this, and I'd like to thank Tom Hibbert for this Patreon request. And yeah, once again, if you'd like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, hit the $30 third tier that'll allow you access to send me Patreon requests here to do here on YouTube. But other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.